Hello and welcome to Tykes Tv. Not much to really talk about, as in positively, against the shit show against Leighton Orient at weekend. And I think hundreds, if not many thousands, leaving well before 90 minutes were up and they get up after 51 minutes. We'll cover all that, but as we all know, Luke, it's always a pleasure to have you on, mate. We'll pick bones through this and build up to it, and be seeing what's happened unfolding in front of us.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to be back on. It's been obviously, I'm not surprised with what I'm seeing. I tried to be a little bit more diplomatic when we last spoke and tried to look at both sides of things and allow things to kind of transpire and see if things would improve and hope that they would. But yeah, it's just symbolic of where we are as a football club that on Saturday. And it's multi-layered why we are where we are, and we're probably going to go back over all ground again. And we're just going to say it is because what's the point trying to sugarcoat it? Because I think there needs to be some home truths said, and I've been beating this drum for 7 years now, regardless of who it is that's filling the position. It's the same old issues, and even when we'll get to Saturday, but even when, for instance, I'll go back to 2017 when they first took over, Liam Conway and that group, there was just something that didn't feel right to me, and obviously it transpired that they were just basically, we were a host of clubs that they were interested in, and over the next few years they decided to basically try and destroy for their own personal gain. Several football clubs, one of them actually, I think, ended up going out of business due to them in Belgium. And I was outspoken then because I cared about the football club and I knew what they were about. I didn't just say things for the sake of it out of us not getting the right results. I just felt that the trajectory that the club was going on was completely wrong and was completely different to what I used to see Barnsley FC being about. The identity, what we expect as fans, the way that we conduct ourselves, the people that are involved with the club itself, and that just has slowly been taken away bit by bit. And now it's, even when Conway had left, I thought I'd kind of done my job really, because I were kind of like the face of the Conway out group. I thought, well, they've gone. I've kind of done a bit of a job here. And when I kind of just thought, let things unfold and hope that the people that do come in, or at least take over from the two people that were the faces of it, would try and change things. And I think to start off with, Underduff, they acknowledged that their issues that they'd created, the mistakes that they'd made. And I thought, you know what, making that first appointment was a good thing. And then over the course of that season, I thought that we started to get his club back. And then just obviously losing the playoff final the way that we did was difficult to take. And Duff leaving the way that he did was difficult as well. But I also think that then, looking back on things now, we weren't prepared to be in the Championship as a football club. You're looking at the gulf between League One and the Championship at the moment. And maybe that first season we had a decent enough team to maybe, if we backed the manager, to go up and do all right. But now we're nowhere near it. And each transfer window we seem to be weaker than stronger. We seem to be just, obviously with players leaving at the start of the season, I didn't want them here because especially Cole and Kane. Cadden, I thought, was a decent player. He's doing well up in Scotland. If you play him in the right position and you play him often enough, you see his performances for a burn at the minute. But I just think that, we just don't seem to. We seem to replace one issue and then another 3 or 4 come up. There's no, like I've said to multiple times, mate, there's no stability at the football club, and that's off the pitch, and then it spoils to on the pitch. And the people that are in charge of the football club were involved when Liam Conway were here, just in a minor way in Nirav and the Crines. They're just as much to blame as them. Just knowing the issues that were there before, and just the way that they've just carried things on. I were hoping that under a new director of football would be coming in and kind of bridging the gap between the head coach and the chief exec, rather than the chief exec doing everything. But I start to doubt as well some of the transfer decisions that's been made, or the lack of transfer decisions that's been made. In the summer, like I said to you all along, we needed a new keeper, not this loan. Again, just filling a gap, because for some reason, just didn't seem to think that was an issue. It was an issue of the season before when we had Roberts as a loan keeper. Just get a keeper in. I don't. This issue has been going on for 2 seasons now. You're having a lack of quality keeper since Collins has left, and as it's cost us numerous points over the season. That position, Slanina with multiple errors. Killips, is a National League keeper, and we were at Hartlepool in the National League. So I'm not saying it just to have a dig at him, and he's made some good saves in games, but as well as showed his naivety and his lack of game management at times. But the football club is completely different to what I used to understand it as. I stopped going out of principle because I knew that things would be going downhill, and it would really sadden me to see and be there and be part of that. And I felt that was the only right thing for me, was to stop giving my hard-earned money to people that don't care about the football club, and I don't think they do. I think it's so for some of them it's a vanity project. It's a way to kind of have it on their business portfolio and use. They're only bothered about other interests in the football club itself than actually the men's team, which is what of course I'm all for women's football, but at the same time, the men's football is what makes the amount of money that it does. If the men's football club succeeds, the women's team does as a byproduct of that, and so does the academy and this, that, and I would expect that the standards of the football club should be higher than what they are. And from when I was younger, even in the mid-2000s, even in the 2015s, 2016s, the Championship was the bare minimum for us in terms of where we would expect to be. And over time, even under Patrick, would be to try and move away from this staying up on last day of season or struggling each year, to kind of move forward and progress. Because where is our hard-earned money going if we're not going to progress? And you look at other teams over the years that's done it. Numerous football clubs seem to have taken that next step and have that vision and that identity. And like I've said to you before, mate, we haven't got one. We haven't got an identity of play. When I watch us play, and that then transpires onto the pitch, I don't think the football club really know what they're doing long term. They seem to go from one transfer window to the other and kind of be very reactionary rather than solving things in the future. They just seem to just be like, well, here's an issue, we'll solve it here and now, rather than looking ahead, which is what you should be doing as a successful business model. And that's the same with transfers. We let players go, or what do we do now? And is it the same with the coach? Clark was the 4th choice. He's not first choice. So in my opinion, the board didn't really believe in him, because if they did, they'd approached him in the first place. And he's been given a bad hand with the players that he's got. And so had Neil Collins. And then I go back to what is the issue? Because Collins got us to 5th in the league before he got sacked. And his form before he got sacked were atrocious, and his style of football wasn't great, and he wasn't the best of characters to follow, and he was quite boring as a person, and this, that, and the other. But he did well with the team that we had. We had numerous players that then left the football club that weren't playing for him because they didn't get a move in the January. So you've got players that are down tools and play well first half of the season, scored goals galore, and as soon as they get the move in January, they got monk on. So he were dealing with probably a lot more issues than we were aware. We didn't strengthen enough in the January for my liking to go top 2. It were there for the taking. We didn't want it. As simple as that. If we wanted to go up last season, we could have done. And the difference between clubs like even your Stockports and your other clubs that's up there, and big people are going to, well, we've not got big American owners and stuff like that. But for me, if you've not got ambition, then what's the point bothering? And I think that's where the fans are at now, is that people are starting to finally understand that these people that run the football club just say things to make you buy tickets for them. And these fan forums, it's just all niceties. It's just a tick in a box to say, right, well, we've met you, so you're up, basically. We're engaging, but I'd rather them not engage at all than make out that they do care, because at least we knew where they would stand. Like, certain owners at football clubs just don't want to meet the fans, but at least they know where they stand. And I think that's worse, to try and make out that you do care about the football club when you're actually really, actions speak louder than words, and for me they don't. And it's same problem, different people from before, and people will call me negative, and I've been called all sorts of names over the years. I don't really care, because I know what the issues are, and I'm quite open to it. And for several reasons, there's some fans that are still loyal to them, and that's probably due to loyalty, and they'll feel bad and they'll not feel like proper supporters, or if they feel like they're turning on the people that run the football club. But when the football club means more than the people that run the football club, you've got to look at it like that, that these people come and go. We're still going to be here. And, it's quite sad that there's not much, we're not asking for much. We're just asking for just little things, just to be, where do we stand as a football club? They say they want to be a championship team, we'll prove it. Go out there and back the manager each season and prove it. We're not asking for millions and millions to be spent. We're asking to compete. We're asking to have a consistent starting 11 that knows how to pass a ball 5 yards. We're asking for players that come off the bench that look like they want to be there. We're asking for lads that are not just going to use as a stepping stone, but be proud to play for the football club. And there's some that are, of course there is. There are some lads that you can see that clearly care. But what I'm saying is, it's not just the players. It's not just the head coach or the staff. Everything that is wrong at the football club is wrong at the moment. And we're ninth in the league. I don't know how, because I can't remember a last good 90-minute performance. Maybe Rotherham, I thought, that were last really decent, half-decent performance. That I thought we played actually quite well, managed the game well from start to finish. And that's one of our only 2 home wins. Is it in 2024? And that just says everything, And we're nowhere near the standard that's required, mate. And it's not good enough. It's as simple as that. And there needs to be a lot of looking at themselves, and if they don't want to be part of the project in terms of where it should be, then you know where to go, basically, and that applies to everybody. But it's just a mess, mate, at the moment, and it doesn't surprise me. Unfortunately, I wish they'd prove me wrong, but I get my hopes up, and then it's like, it's just apathy now for a lot of fans, and that's why they left after 50 minutes. Because what's the point getting angry at players? What's the point? For instance, I know people that have been watching them for 30 odd years and just can't be arsed, because if the club don't care, why should we? And people go, well, you're the heartbeat of the fan base. Well, this has not been going on for 6 months. It's been going on for years. Just little bits by little bits. We're just a convenience for them. We're just a means to an end for them to make money. And the 2 playoff campaigns, I must say, papered over the cracks of the issues that were below it. Do you know what I mean? The fact that we got into the playoffs the last 2 seasons has gave them as a business the kind of factual excuse to say, well, we're running the football club properly because we're going in the playoffs. Well, we limped into the playoffs basically whilst we were unconscious last season. Against Bolton, and you sacked the manager 2 games before last game of the season. For me, yeah, it were bad form, but I would have waited, and we didn't help ourselves in that playoff campaign with the way that they handled that situation. I was expecting them to make an appointment immediately, but they waited and waited and waited. The same with the Clark. We just looked desperate in this summer, going to Stendhal and then going back to Duff, and just it seemed like we were just asking anybody to take it. And that's how it felt, like desperation tactics. Same with all-round signing.
You never get me started on that.
I know Connor played pre-season, and he probably, as a player, realised that he didn't have the same fitness or didn't feel that he could play 200%. But he's a better than a lot of players that's in that side still. And for me, it were a PR stunt, simple as that, to get people on seats for the start of the season. I'd rather him just been open from the start and said, listen, He's going to be a coach. If he feels that he's ready, then he's going to help out. Same when John Hendry took over as manager. He took over as kind of player manager, but we all knew he wouldn't be a manager. But he basically said that. He said, "Look, I'll help out if I need to, but I'm going to be a coach," and I've no problem with that. It's just it just feels like again we were lied to, and this thing about because they started playing pre-season. And I'd just rather have had an open statement from the start of the season, rather than this kind of rhetoric that he's still a player and registered as a player, because we all knew he weren't playing. We all knew that he weren't going to be playing. And yeah, he's not the same player he was 7 or 8 years ago when he left us. I get that. Same as Roberts, but Roberts has done all right. But I just think again, that's if we brought him in as a midfielder, we're missing a midfielder then at the minute, because obviously Oran for me would have been an option to play instead of the likes of Craig or Russell on current form. You're not telling me he couldn't do a job in that midfield, just sitting there for 20, 30 minutes, just organising, game management perspective. I'm sure he could, but it's obviously his choice, and he's obviously had a great career, and he will go down as a modern club legend. For a lot of fans, but again, it's just the way that the club treated the situation. It's just unprofessional. It's just amateur, and it just seems like it's just a long list of errors that they've made along the last few years, and they don't help themselves at all. Do you know what I mean? And it's not like we're picking up things that's kind of like out of thin air. The amount of things that they've got wrong, that's basic stuff. It's just baffling, and it makes you think. The ineptitude and kind of what actual knowledge of the game have they got from a business and also from a knowledge of the game perspective. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like who is running our club, really. It just makes me think it's like Ben Hill show down there. And I don't know, Saturday were just, indicative of where we are as a football club, and, people have every right to leave. And this is the thing again with standards. Regardless, fair play to Leighton Orient, they came and did a job on us. They played the game better. But basic stuff, defending the corner, 3-man at back post. Same thing happened 2 minutes later, and Neil scored again. And fans are having to tell players, we're man is at back post for the same setup. Yeah. It's like, and we'll obviously go into it, mate. It's like the formation don't suit the players. Well, we've not got the right players then, have we, if he's going to play that way? And we've got players that are just not good enough. We've got 3 or 4 lads that I think are good enough for the Championship, but for me, that's where we should be aiming to be. We should be having a Championship side ready to go up into the Championship, and we should be getting ready for that. Not getting League One, players, because they're playing in League One. They're actually League Two, National League. But I don't mind losing, but it was the basics, and it was the manner of the performance on Saturday that was just basically unacceptable. And they should have been training yesterday, all day, regardless of the coming in extra. Because they're earning what people earn in a month every week. And if that's me and you, we're getting disciplined or we're losing his job if we're playing like that every week. And Exeter away, great to come back from behind, but we should, its minimum requirement is beating Exeter. We should be aiming to be up there in top 2, top 3. Why not? And if people are saying, well, we shouldn't be, well, that's what the problem is then. That standards have changed. And the fact that we're allowing it to be lowered each season, that's dangerous, because when you're lower expectations and the standards get worse, kind of we're all right, Jack, we're just happy for a day out on piss. That's where you get in trouble, because you're complacent. You're just expecting to be in top 6 every season in League One. And, for me, we should be aiming to move forward as a football club and have that project and that vision, and I can't see it. I don't know what it is on the pitch. I don't know what it is off the pitch. I don't know what style of football we play half at time. I don't know where we're going in terms of recruitment. We just seem to just fill a gap, and then another 2 opens. And there's a lot of them lads that shouldn't be wearing a Barnsley shirt because they're not good enough.
We'll get on about that for before we go any further. Just your mic, just start here, your other side. Yeah, just move it away. That's it. Nice one. I'll just now and again I'll get a bit of a catch. That's it. Cool. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like progressively getting worse. That's the only thing we seem to do consistently, whether it be players and coaches or both. And you go from Wembley final, instead of move on and recruit and get better players in to push for it, we get non-league players. So we end up with like non-league performances. Got Collins coming in, already dealt with a bad card of, players, to be fair, not being disrespectful, but you look at players what came in, Collins had a look at him and shipped him out on loan. Too many loan players. So again, you're going back same old ground with that consistency. You look at such as your Wrexhams, your Stockports, the teams there were actually building to not even just have a good enough squad for League One, but they're looking Championship. We want to go up now, and people are saying, "Oh, we're getting to playoffs and all of that." We're going to fight to get in playoffs. Our squad can't even compete in League One. There's not a cat and hell chance they're even going to contemplate going out there and spending some cash when we're in Championship. They'd be hoping on a wing and a prayer that we'll get bargain basement buys and stop in Championship. It don't work like that. And I think it's all been unravelling. You look at his own form this season. I think Doug O'Kane has called it out, and it takes something for Doug O'Kane to call it out to Chronicle. And he even's called it out, and I'm thinking fair play to him because Matt from Up and Down, I've done some lives, and he come out with an absolutely fantastic, a sad but fantastic statement. He says, "No longer do I feel like a fan of Barnsley FC. I feel like a customer." And I thought, is it the nail on the head there? Us fans will spend his hard-earned money going to watch so-called football. You mentioned it, there, look. What's his brand? What's his identity? What's his style of play? What's his passion? It's all right coming out and saying to the fans, "Oh, we want to do this. You need a fan experience, engage in it." Try doing it behind the scenes and try putting it on the pitch. Try getting some of us to get behind rather than expecting us all the time to try and make it a better environment for you all by spending cash on overinflated food, drink, merchandise. I'm just going to call this out as well before we go on to other things about game and players and that. For a bloke on socials, right? And this were unbelievable. This unbelievable. He'd gone to club shop to get a calendar for his son. Apparently, he's got him for the last 11 years, right? Gone to club shop. I want a calendar. Gone up from like 8 quid to like 11 quid. Oh no, we're not doing calendars anymore now. So a bloke asked, "Well, why aren't you doing them anymore?" Well, because we've got a boatload of 2024 ones. We can't sell them, but you still can buy a 2024 one for you. I want you one for 2025. If you drop your prices down, then you'd probably sell more. And that just screams out how out of touch the club are with the fans. And look, we've said it before, and we keep going over the old ground, and we'll get on to where do we go forward. But where do we go forward is like getting a new set of owners. What is it about this board at the moment, apart from being so blink of visions and the heads up their asses and looking after their own interests? What is it that they're not understanding? With all these fan forums, fan advisory board, what nobody seems to know who the hell they are. What is it so difficult and hard not to engage with people in the stands? Surely we've got to see all them people going. Shouldn't be alarm bells be ringing and thinking, what do I need to do to get passion back in by fans and belief? Because if all that wedge we keep driving, it's getting wider and wider and wider. It's going to get before you know where you are, like the Conroe Ram thing, what you just touched on there. That for me, what a poor season ticket sales. I think, and this is my own opinion, I think apparently Wrexham were interested in it. And I think he come to Barnsley knowing that he'd had more chance of a coaching role. My own personal thoughts is if he'd have gone to Wrexham had been wanting more of a player than a coach. So he plumped for Barnsley. And fair enough, I hope it works out for Connor. But again, it don't sit well with me and the board sold it to the fans. Like I said with John Henry, he came out and said that. For me, it's been a crowd pleaser, a people pleaser, get bums on seats, or all of a sudden, and this with Dean White, I don't buy that one bit. It's been that one never in an equation, that. I mean, how many coaches we've got? We've got a set piece coach, got an attacking coach, we've got this coach, got that coach. Since have that many coaches, more than GV and Glow put together, we'd be building a bloody extension at Oakwell for these coaches before you know where we are. But I'm not seeing it on the pitch, mate. What they're working at, I ain't got a clue.
I think if we just go back to what I think you were just mentioning Collins there, I was just going to think like when Collins had inherited that squad, straight away he had Liam Kitchen handing in a transfer request 3 days before start of season. So, and then I think for me, it appears to me that since the playoff final defeat under Duff, it seems like the board, because I can remember that Sheffield Wednesday game. That was the last game I can remember there being an atmosphere that I can remember that was Barnsley-esque, that we all know. Everyone that's obviously over a certain age will remember when you're going to hope well. And even away fans. I was thinking of this other day. I once went to a League Cup game when I was younger. We played Newcastle at home, and I think it was under Bobby Robson. I think Shearer were there, Bellamy at League Cup. We were in League One at the time. Very average team. But them 11 players on that pitch for Barnsley played like Spartans that night. And we lost 1-0. And I can always remember being proud to be a Barnsley fan, going away thinking, well, I don't really care what league we're in. That is a team that represents, everything about it, the pride, the fighting spirit, not giving up, resilience. You get stuck in, your underdog. That is what Barnsley, for me, is about, and what represents it. And I can't remember, and then obviously over the years, teams used to hate coming to play at Oakwell.
Yeah.
Hate it, especially if they were from London. I know for a fact that if they come up on a cold Tuesday night, they wouldn't want to know. And now it's a chance, it just feels like, well, they're seeing it as an home game and it's an away game for us. That's how it looks. But Collins, he came in, and I didn't rate him. I never wanted him here. He weren't the coach for me. I thought that coming over from America was a big job from him in British football, and he's obviously gone back over. But I think he did all right getting us where we were. But it seems like because we didn't go up under Duff, it seemed like that they stopped caring as much then, and it feels like that they've tried to do things on even as not like half 50%. Like you could tell with atmosphere before games under Duff, they had all these flags. They were marketing to get fans in ground. They were trying to really bridge that gap, and it seems like since then, since Duff left, they just don't seem to want to know. Even on Saturday, the ticket price isn't that we're hardly posted, and it should have been all over the place. Saturday before Christmas, get kids in, because that's where your next set of fan bases is coming through. You don't want them following Man United and Man City. I know that's the way to go, but
I know what you mean.
Younger, every person that I knew that were a similar age to me were a Barnsley fan. They were proud to be a Barnsley fan. Not this, Man City, Liverpool, Man United. But even where are you going to get your next generation of fans from if you're not going to entice them to the game and make it, make it appealing for families to take the kids and stuff like that. And yeah, we got 11,000 on Saturday. It's probably a good number for where we're at as a club at the moment. But I just don't see the same kind of passion and drive as there were a couple of years back. And I kind of gave them the benefit of the doubt because I thought they were making some decent changes here. But they seem to have gone back to type. And that's the issue. They've gone back to this stubborn, we know better than you kind of thing. And we've done it your way for a season. We got Norwood in on a free transfer. They got rid of him because he were outspoken and there was something behind the scenes with Goddard. So they got rid of him and said it with this. And then obviously on Saturday again, the one, kiosks were closed 2 minutes after half time and people have paid their hard-earned money to go in and it's £6 to get a lager. That's absolutely disgusting to start off with. I mean, where do they think we live? Like, there seems to be no seem like knowledge of they just don't seem to get it. It's as simple as that, and there's not even like a willingness to understand. Like for them, they go to fan forums. There's no point you go in. No point you go in. In fact, if you do go, it's worse because what you're doing is you're making them think that they're addressing the situation. You're talking to a certain section of fans that are happy with what's happening. And the questions that need to get asked don't, because unfortunately we've got a few clampets that ask questions about whether Aaron Lear-Aseka's wife's, if he's shagging one of his ex-wives or something, rather than asking the actual questions that need asking. And it's that they're making us as a fan base look like complete idiots, and that's how they're treating us. I don't really know. For me, the answer is obviously new ownership. That's not going to come unless we get somebody that would be, maybe get somebody from Hollywood, probably coming in and buying us. Like I've said before, they should have done a Netflix documentary on us because it'd have been bestseller. They missed out with us. But first and foremost, I just don't get really where where it's at the moment, like and even on Saturday, they're overcomplicating things, and maybe there's too many messages front bench. For
Of course,
me,
yeah.
there's too many messages, and they're not good enough to, we're trying to play a brand of football, for instance, where the players aren't good enough to play, five at the back. We've got O'Keefe that can't wait to smash it.
Mm.
Gets ball, buff, like Callum Britton Mark II. You know what I mean? He
Yeah,
cannot
yeah.
wait to get rid of the ball. Look after it. And for me, if you're going to play wing back, you're going to have two wing backs that can defend and attack. It's all right having lads that can go forward and put a ball in box, but first of all, you've got to have strikers that are there. And
Mm.
second of all, delivery's got to be good enough. Now, O'Keefe, every 1 out of 10, he gets it onto somebody. But defensively, he's like a piece of
We're
paper.
missing, yeah.
Defence, Earl, too slow. Deja Vigne, too slow. Pines, too slow. We're easy to play against. You put a quick number 10 or a false... You put a lad in between channels, in between full-back that's committed forward and two centre-backs, left and centre-back. We've got all that space there. You put a ball in box. We've got, lads that are just not quick enough at midfield, and they all seem to want to bomb forward, but, we've got, nobody's sitting in there. And when we do, we just... And then I look at style of play, when we've got Humphreys up front, we're bombing it up to him. He likes it on floor. He's a technical player. Him and Kayla Dunn are technical players. For them, Kayla Dunn needs to do a bit more for me, but I think he's being played out of position personally.
Yeah.
Humphreys is one of bright sparks for me, and I'm glad that we've got him because he's a good player. And if there were 11 of him, we'd be doing a lot better. And yeah, he does try odd flick here and there that I don't agree with, but he's trying to do something. But for me, pumping it long, it's like who's telling him to do that? And then when we bring Cosgrove on, we're trying to play it on floor.
Yeah, complete opposite.
Like, what we're doing? Honestly, it's just basic stuff, mate. The personnel we've got are not good enough. Killip's not good enough. I can tell you, for me, probably lads that I think are best, that should be in team. You're looking at Phillips, that's not been the same since last season for me. That situation at Birmingham really pissed me off because he's a senior player inside now. He's one of the better players in the team. You're on a yellow card at 1-1, or I think it was 1-1.
Yeah.
We just they just equalised, or we just scored, and then he does that. And then they're a good team, Birmingham, but they're not like... They're obviously a big club. They deserve to be in League higher, They've obviously got a big history and all that, but they weren't that good. We matched them. And arguably, for again, decisions went our way, this, that, and the other. But don't make it hard for us by jumping into that. And it's just, again, game management, players not stepping up to play. Connell, this thing about Luca Connell, let me get this straight, right? He has not been the same since he got injured under Duff, or even under Collins last season. Not been the same player. He's trying to overcomplicate it, and he's playing in a bit further forward position. I don't think it suits him. He's not quick enough. His transition of play is not quick enough. He wants to touch too long, and you don't get that in this league. Same with Russell, wanting time on ball that we haven't got. For me, Connell's not been the same. And I just look at calibre of player. It's not it's not good enough to be up there. Connell is probably, on his day, he is a decent League One midfielder, but he's too inconsistent for me. Getting ball away, trying to do these 40, 50-yard passes that he can't do.
It's one of the worst squads you've seen, look.
Yeah, I would say it's one of the worst squads I've seen in a long time.
It's in quality, yeah.
In terms, yeah. I mean, you're looking at full backs and stuff, and you're looking at options off bench. It's it's one of the worst I've seen down at Oakwell. I think it's up there with... I think it's worse than David Flitcroft in Championship, because then at least we were in Championship. So
yeah, true.
So yeah, we had some awful players that Hill had brought in from Rochdale, but you knew 100% they were given 110% each week, regardless of how technically inept they were. And I don't know what's going on with players. They just seem to this mentality of we can't manage a game. Amount of times this season we concede just before half time, just after half time, first 10 minutes, it's just like this focus just seems to we just don't seem to be switched on for the first part of game or end. We just seem to just be, I don't know, just basic stuff, mate, honestly. And then I think is there too many coaches involved because the amount of instructions that, that they keep getting told. And then I think it's just basic stuff with likes of Killip and Slanina and things like that. We've got a permanent keeper in that we're not playing in
Yeah.
Jackson.
He went out on loan and he got rave reviews, really. So
And
he's
we're not
come back and I'm not playing him.
Can't do any worse than other two have done.
No.
Do you know what I mean? But who come again? We've got January window, and we're I hope. My wires are all over the place. 2 minutes.
All right. But I mean, I'm looking at like what you've just said, Via, about coaches on sidelines and that, and I'm watching. And I purposely cover me, especially at home. I purposely cover every time I get a free kick. It's like Conor runs up and we're shouting. You got players looking over. It's like the players don't even know what we're doing. Who's taking this? And he goes down. Even Bittner comes up. Goalkeeping coach having a word. He sits down. Clark comes up. Dave Haney comes. I'm like, it's like a bloody hot seat. That up, down, up, down, up, down. It's like, what are we doing?
I also look at I look at the situation from a cynical perspective that I think, well, we're 21st in form table at home, and that's not good enough. It's as simple as that.
Relegation form, isn't it? That?
Relegation, and away in form, we've got results, but like I said to you, I can't remember the last good performance. I think we're trying to overcomplicate the style of play. You look at Wickham top end at table; they're not doing anything overly, remarkable. It's same as they do.
Doing basics, aren't they?
Keep it doing basics. We can't do that. We're trying to overcomplicate it. We're trying to play football with Yorkshire traction at left centre back and a stagecoach at right centre back. Honestly, they're so immobile. It's like, why are you trying to play football with two blokes that cannot turn quicker than a Yorkshire traction bus? Honestly, it's right though, isn't it? Like, why?
It is. It's just like
If you're going to play three at back with two wing backs, get three centre backs in that are quick enough and immobile enough to take the ball and turn with the ball. This thing about playing ball, passing it ball, get it. If we've got three of them big lads at back, set pieces that we can't defend, by the way, and that baffles me. We've got tall players in team and we can't defend a set piece, but there we go. Get it in their half and play. Keep it simple. We're not a Premier League team. We're trying to overcomplicate it, in my opinion. And like you've said, you've got coaches here, coaches everywhere that are off bench, on bench, off bench, on bench. What importance then, if you've got 5 or 6 lads talking, does Clark really have if you've got 5 or 6 voices? I know you should have an assistant coach. I get that, maybe 2. But in my opinion, until half time, them other coaches should be staying on bench or relaying information to head coach, because then the head Clark loses his importance then and loses his status.
True. Yeah.
Because then if it's them being diluted from other people and they're having to look at bench every 2 seconds, do you not earn enough to know how to do your job properly?
Well, that's what I said when in training. Surely they must know in certain situations on pitch. That's what I'm on about. Yeah,
they'll do set pieces on a Friday or a Thursday. They'll do shape. Well, we haven't got no shape, so I don't know what they do.
We're waiting for another coach for that, man.
Well, they'll have a shape coach.
Yeah.
Next, they'll have a coach. I don't know. I'm going to make a joke out of it. But for me, and I just think if they simplified things, it might be a bit better. And I think that's why they probably play a bit better away from home, because I think shackles are off. And I think there is a confidence thing at home. As soon as we concede, I just think we're going to lose. And I think that there's then the atmosphere, this nervousness from fans, because we know what's coming. And then obviously it rubs onto players. But there's enough players in that team that, this is why I think Goddard should be playing. But whatever, he's retired and that's that. But there's enough experience at this level and above in this team on a regular basis that should be getting them by scruff at neck. For me, Roberts should be captain first and foremost. I don't think Connell should be captain. I think as soon as Roberts had come in, I think he should have been made captain. I think Connell, if we're going to keep him long term, he's only 21, make him vice captain, make him learn off Roberts that's played. He knows the club. And I know Connell knows the club. He's been here 3 or 4 seasons now. I get that. But for me, let Connell play. For me, have a centre defender, take pressure off him. I think he's then trying to worry about what other lads are doing and relaying information to other players when he should be focusing on his game.
Mm.
But like you said, standard of players that we've got at minute's not good enough. We need to be getting rid of players. You know, Marsh, he's only inside because he's from area, and he's only at club
Yeah.
because he's from area. You know, and it's a shame it's not worked out for him. But we've got to be. We can't be paying a lad. You know,
We haven't got a
excellent.
luxury to do that, have we, Luke? Just to keep on as far as
If he's not
local
good
lad.
enough,
Yeah.
I'm afraid that we need to part ways. We did the same with John Parkin back in the day. All Barnsley lads that came through under Dave Bassett,
Yeah.
under John
Yeah.
Hendry, that were let go from area that just weren't deemed good enough. And we wish him well with the best of the career,
Mm.
and I hope he does well and proves us wrong. But for me, he's just one of many that we need to let go and get off wage bill.
I look at it
Same,
like this, look, with Eddie Marsh, just before we move on, sorry, mate. I look at it like this with Eddie Marsh. I think if we'd signed him from somewhere like a Walsall or, Tranmere or something like that, and he wasn't doing it here, it'd be like, right, we need to get shut. But like I say, he's a local lad. You can't keep offering him a season extension. He's been to Guiseley, he's been to York, he's been to Scunthorpe. He hasn't really done notice. He's come back here. He hasn't really set world on fire. He'll be on some wages. And for me, it's like, I wanted to come good. Of course I do, he's a local lad, but
yeah.
it's not worked out for him. You got to cut them, like, sentimental ties off and
Cut
say,
your losses,
"Move
mate.
on."
Just you got to be brutal.
Yeah,
You know, they don't extend contracts for other people that I think they should do. And then, for instance, with McAtee over at summer, why did we even not even go in for him?
yeah.
And we just let Bolton, one of us, like in table at start of season, one of our rivals, go in
Mm.
for him, and then people go, well, wages. Well, if you remove, if you really want somebody,
Cut the
you
deadwood.
move stuff around. Yeah, you get people off wage bill. Like
Mm.
we got fucking Shaw, Dallas. On wait. I know we've let some of them go, but we've got buy players like that,
Well, we've
and then
got,
we're having to pay them 2-3 grand a week or
you've got,
whatever.
like, Casper Lopperton out on loan. I can't see him coming back.
Shepherd, you know,
Shepherd.
and they're younger lads that, again, I don't think they're good enough, but that's just symbolic of where the club has kind of deemed that where we are.
Mm.
We've got Earl, that's, for me, is past his best when he were at Fleetwood. He were a quite good first 3 months of season when he came into us, but his age is showing. For me, he's not mobile enough. Pines is too error prone. Dejavigny, he's good 1 minute. He reminds me of Anderson when he first came in. He's good 1 minute and then he makes a mistake next.
Yeah.
He's too inconsistent. You need some steady lads at back. I think we do need to address up front. Cosgrove's got to go for me. He's he's been given enough chances. And start again. We need another. We need a keeper. Only lads that I can say that I feel that are doing all right at the moment is Kelechi. Nari's come in. He looks like a technically good player.
Mm.
Humphreys, Kayla Dunn when he's doing all right.
If they play him in right position, you would probably get best out of him.
Cotter, start at season, he really improved, and then he seems to have gone back a bit. O'Keefe, same. For me, we need another wing back. We need at least 5-6 signings.
Georgie Gent, he seems to be coming to his own now. He was a
he's
slow
doing all
starter,
right.
wasn't he? So
He's doing all right. Obviously, that's a signing that maybe you'll probably look in 2 years. Well, that's a good signing, that. And you can live with that. A lad that's obviously come from a good team in Blackburn, good academy. We then give him game minutes and make him better. We are coaching. But
you
then
look at the rest of the side, you're struggling, don't you?
But then every good decision we make, like that, and Humphreys signing, we then get a keeper in that we're not playing, that we're paying £5 a week for in Slanina. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, for me,
It
there
would,
were
innit?
better keepers out there on a permanent basis that we could have got for £5 a week that had been as number one for the next 3 years. Because that's where you start your team, is the backbone of your team is the keeper.
Mm.
And the amount of points we conceded at home against Northampton and
Build your spine,
throwing
don't you?
games away. Yeah, honestly, if somebody can get up the amount of games that we've conceded, either we've been in front in a game at home that we've then gone on to lose or draw, it's probably in multiple points.
Mm.
And we can't blame anybody else but ourselves at the
No.
moment. We're the architects of his own downfall at the minute. Clark, again, I question Clark at the moment because he's just saying the same stuff. I'm glad he's honest, and it's nice to see a coach be honest, but it only gets you so far.
Mm.
At the end of the day, if you're, and he'll probably the first person to get, in the interim, if he gets removed, he'll be like, well, results haven't been good enough, and this, that, and other. But you got to look at then above then, like kind of if he's not the problem, and if Collins isn't the problem, and like Duff left for a reason, he didn't just go because it were a better pay. He knew what
On
he
the
was going to
back,
be working with.
you just mentioned three gaffers there, and you started off with Clark. Do you get the sense that Clark is frustrated, as in he wants to play a certain way, but he hasn't got the personnel to do
Yeah,
it? Because he said in his preview, I think to Sheffield last week, and he said, "Yeah, some players will be going," and I think, yeah, I'm glad he's done that
yeah,
because I'm wanting to be a balanced squad. It doesn't do us any favours, but I mean, there's no getting away from the two corners when we conceded goals. I mean, that's basic on training ground stuff. We, like I said, fans every time. But you look at some other players, I'm thinking he's wanting to fetch one off the bench to try and make an impact. I'm looking, I'm thinking, what's he really got?
there ain't none.
So he must be frustrated as well because he knows that it's a results-driven front base, and people in stand were calling for him and were saying, "Oh, sat behind me at Ponty," and they were saying, "Oh, just get you to call him. This will be his last game. He'll be gone for the weekend." And I went, "Right, who are you going to get in? Because we're still working under the same
But I'll
board.
tell you who they bring in
Uran,
for a cheap option, yeah.
and to
And
be
they
a
get
crowd
him and
pleaser,
and
yeah,
then
of course it will,
the
mate.
cynic in me makes me think, oh, that's interesting timing.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
coincidence, isn't it, Matt?
Blackman and Al-Adden have that's interesting timing. That's the cynic in me. It makes me think that and watch this space.
Yeah, there's a few people said that. Yeah, there's a few people said that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And listen, obviously he's done well as a player. Played for Ireland, played for Villa. They'd look up to him. He's young. He'd have fans behind him, but
it's a
that's the
gamble, mate, isn't it? It's a
That's the
gamble.
first thing I thought immediately. That's the first thing I thought. They're lining him up.
Yeah,
But with Clark, I feel for him. He doesn't help
yeah,
himself because formation does not suit the players. It's as simple as that. And he's stuck to his guns, and fair enough. That's a commendable thing to say. He stuck to his guns, but the five at the back with the two wing backs does not work. When we're out of possession, it does not work. But I also, he's got to be He's got to be coaching. Even in the summer, end at transfer window, you could tell he wanted more. We were after
yeah.
a striker, we didn't get one. We were, keeper, we're still missing that. We're still missing a right back, in my opinion, that's consistent enough. Midfielder, midfielder that can come on and a bit of pace. We're lacking pace in the team. We seem to be very slow. A centre back, but like you said, as we always know, January is going to be important. Can we keep Phillips? We've got to keep him, because at the end of the day, he's not played good enough to deserve him over this season. But there will be interest in Preston and likes of that. I think there were interest before from them.
Yeah, but why
They'll
not?
have turned offers down. There'll be interest in Connell, the young player, and teams will look at him and be like, your Swansea, and be like, well, we're better coaches. You can make him into a better player. Liam Kitchen weren't that great, but he got a big move to Coventry and he's on a decent wage. So they'll look at the potential, and obviously they'll look at us and try and pick us off. So January is important to keep the players that are here happy, the better players, and also to help the coach out. And they were saying to you, either back him or sack him.
Yeah,
Either back the manager or sack him. And people say that they have backed him, but for me,
they haven't backed him enough.
they got Craig on a loan. Slanina on a loan from Chelsea. And, we then got Nwakali as a free agent. Lofthouse were a loan player that had come back that were our player anyway. We had only really got Kayla Dunn on a permanent, Humphreys that's out of contract again in summer anyway, like option extended. Smith that we're not playing from this season.
Yeah, and Roberts.
And Roberts. And I know Iran that's obviously then retired. So you've not really, for me, it needed a bigger overhaul than that. But there we are. But, just watch this space with next few weeks if results don't get any better, because this result could either really get the players to be like, you know what, we've got to be better than this. But if it gets worse and the down tools or they just don't seem up for it, player power is bigger than the manager power, and they'll just, if they're not giving 100% every week, we haven't got the players that can be then making numbers up for rest of players.
Yeah.
So they've got to back him in January. They've got to keep the players till end of the season. Say to the likes of Phillips and Connell, if their heads have been turned or whatever, give till end of the season. We're backing manager, and they've got to give Clark reassurances, because obviously if he's not in for the fight, then what's the point if the manager isn't either? But Saturday we're disgusting, mate. As simple as that. It were
No excuses for it, mate. No excuses.
basic stuff that, you know, and the players have got to look themselves in the mirror and be like, we earn enough money here to be playing better than that.
Yeah.
You know, but I also think football's changed, Neil, when it seemed to be when pros were young, you know, when I, for instance, I'm showing my age here, at 90s when I used to go down to Oakwell and we had likes of Redfern playing and Ignat and Matty Appleby and Chris Morgan and this, that and other. They seem to love being a footballer, and now it's like a job. It seems to be just like we're picking up 3-4 grand a week anyway, so it don't really matter if we play shite.
Yeah.
You know, we'll always get a move to another club, so we're all right. And it just seems like the pride seems to have gone out of being like, do you know what I mean? And it just feels like that at times, that no matter what the performances is, they don't seem to kind of like.
I'm glad you said that.
Accountable.
I'm glad you said that. We're 3-0 down, and I saw Keely Dunn, and he were having a joke and a laugh with one of their players of it ball for a free kick. I'm like,
3-0 laughing and joking for me.
Down, mate.
Again, about swapping this thing about helping other players up and stuff. He's your enemy on pitch. Yeah. That's what I was taught. For 90 minutes, he's your worst enemy, and you hate him, and he hates you, and you will do whatever is possible over those 90 minutes to win a game. And then after, you shake hands,
and
whatever. But you're not mates with him. You're not like in tunnel. You see him all hugging and handshaking and stuff. Wait for the end of game. You're 3-0 down at home, and like you said, he's laughing and joking about like as if he don't mean out because it affects him personally. But obviously, there's fans that don't go no more. That it's the life. It's everything for them supporting Barnsley, as it is for any fan that'll be watching this that support a football club. It's the life. It's for 90 minutes. It's you get away from the stresses of life. You're watching your hometown and your community be represented by a group of 11, and then obviously 5 subs play for your shirt and play for your logo. And what's the frustrating thing is, Neil, it's not that the players aren't good enough. Even if they're not, we would understand if they're not good enough, but they gave 100%. It's the effort.
Yeah.
We can point the fingers at the board all we want, and point his fingers at Clark and Flatbread and Mladen and all those sorts of people, but it's also the players that go out on that pitch. They're also responsible for the way that they conduct themselves. How much do you want it? Those Leyton Orient players wanted it more than us on Saturday. It's as simple as that, and that's the basics to a football game. And when you're beaten on being somebody wanting it more than you, that's not acceptable. There's fans going up and down country paying 200, 300 quid for an away game, like with tickets, train,
full
stuff like that. Fortunately, we've a decent away form. But even there's fans like yourself that's paid a lot of money to start at season to watch that. Do you know what I mean? And it's just not good enough. But like you said, mate, we're not important.
What pisses me off, mate, is, and you mentioned it as well, is like the passion, the standards. You should have. You look at Sir Alex Ferguson, and your managers like that. He won't accept any less. He'd make sure that the team and the squad would meet these standards. If not, then you know what I mean. But here, and I think you look back on the squad. You get in anyway because we haven't really got any other options. And I think it's just a given. I'm going to be on. It don't matter if we have a poor game. I'm going to be on first on the team sheet next week.
There's no competition. That's why. Regardless of how poor you play, because you're deemed a better technical player, you'll start. And like you said, there's no like for like coming on to press a cause. Like in that team under Ecky, for instance, when we got promoted, we had Ivan Toney on bench.
Yeah.
Young Ivan Toney. But we had Winnell, we had Fletcher. We had a couple of other lads. We had strength in depth even in Championship that first season under Ecky. We had.
But it was great bonding. It was great. It was for one another, wasn't it?
Team, Mowat, Lindsay, Adam Davis.
Yeah.
Amel initially. We had a good side.
Yeah.
I think that team would walk all over this team. And that's, again, 5 years ago that war, 6 years ago. And look how times have changed.
Yeah.
And it's sad, really, mate. Like you said, the standards aren't good enough. And, for instance, Phillips didn't play over weekend because I think he had a dental.
Yeah. But he'd still been getting a wage, wouldn't he?
Right. If I were, if I could play for Barnsley, I'd play with one. I'd play with one leg, mate. Just to wear that kit for one time.
That's what it means. Yeah.
And if I'm manager, I'm like, I'd be even embarrassed to say that. I wouldn't say it. Just say he's ill.
Yeah.
I mean, that's excuses that's coming out in 2024. You think this is our times have changed? You think like Nigel, like not Nigel, Brian Clough
Brian
or
Clough.
Ferguson, or would have accepted that back in day?
No way. No way.
They'd have been transfer listed on spot.
Transfer listed and rate your training with under 23s now. See you later.
But again,
Player
that's
power,
because
innit?
playing don't matter to them. They're picking up a wage regardless. And for me, Phillips, I like him. I think he's a good player. He were underrated under Duff, and I think obviously he then improved, and he's a good player. And it's frustrating when he don't show it because he's better than this.
Yeah.
Same with Connell, but then again, he's been given tactics that don't suit his game, and then that thinks then gut at coach.
Mm.
And I think, but then there's when his voice is talking, chatting away. But then Darryl Clark, for me, we can do better than him. I'll be honest. He were our fourth choice, and for me, he's a lower end League One, League Two coach. Did well with Cheltenham in a difficult circumstance, but he still got relegated. None of this well, they played all right. He got relegated. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Standards should be better. If for instance, if Clark got sacked tomorrow, I'd go back in for Mark Robbins.
Oh, that's going to cost a bit of money, that.
But that's what we should.
That's what your standard should be. Yeah. Totally agree, mate.
In higher league, he's obviously done really well. He did really well for us.
Yeah.
Got sold up River. Here's your project. Whatever. He'll probably not take it because of money, whatever. But that's the standard we should be setting.
Yeah.
But we'll probably go for
Lee Johnson. What to do.
We'll go for Lee Johnson again, or we'll ask Grant. We'll see if David Flitcroft's free again, or we'll go around Jose Marais. We'll ask any former coach to come back and plead with him to come back, and then we'll But I hope Clark stays because we don't need another managerial change because that will do nothing for us. We need stability. We need a coach for 2 or 3 years that can really stable the club out, and it might take that to really do that.
And all fingers point again to the board to back him.
You've got to back him
again. So
this money will be in financial difficulty. This, that, and other. Listen, right? If Birmingham are spending £9 million on a striker, right? I think we're all right, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? I think if they're spending £9 million on Jay Stansfield, which fair enough, if they can get away with it, do it. I wish our runners would do the same and get away with it. Because at least you showed as a fan base, fucking hell, like they want to be up in Championship.
That's the standard and ambition again. What we're on about, isn't it? Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They've got to show it. If the customer's paying the money, then where's the product? It's like buying an aftershave that's not an aftershave. It's you need to buy what the product is. If you're paying £300-400 a year for a season ticket, you want then that money that's being then invested from you to the club to then be put into the right areas properly, and not just it's got. And that's why I think I would have liked to form a footballer or to be director of football rather than James Crine's mate. To have been brought in. But again, it's who you know, mate, and that's life. It's not what you're good at. It's who you know. It's how good you are in an interview. It's who you pally with at Christmas. But again, them, for instance, him, they've got them two there. Like, I don't know how much of a say they've got to have, but even him with recruitment, like he's been just given free service. It's football manager over it. Like, what's all that about? Regarding, for me, like, his dad did amazing things for him and for the club, and I think that's why people don't really comment on them too. But for me, we need I've said it before, we need a completely fresh start. But unfortunately, we haven't got a Ryan Reynolds. We might have a Brian Reynolds from Goldfort, but we haven't got a Ryan Reynolds. You know what I mean? To come in and own it, that owns a 2-bit building company that only does effort brickwork for you. We might be interested to take over the club, but we haven't got a Ryan Reynolds, have we?
Unfortunately, not, mate. No.
I mean, we might have a Paul Conway, another con man come in, and then we're like, oh, he's worth £1.2 billion, and we're like, only we could get somebody like that to come in.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
And Lee think, well, we've got like a most type person coming in here, and it's that they've got fuck all, and they've got no money, and we've been sold up a river, and instead of buying Victor Gyökeres from we did.
Criminal.
Who did we get instead? I think it were Obi Alari and Aaron Leia-Iseka.
Yeah.
So instead of buying Gyökeres, who's then gone on to play Champions League and score goals galore, we would have probably kept him 6 months anyway. It'd have been nice to watch a proper striker play for us again. But then we got Obiolari and Leia Aseka in instead, so that's just what we got, and
Two for
that's
price of
fine.
one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's fine. We're all right with that, you know.
Bargain basement.
You know, if they want 11 Jean-Yves and Votos, I can definitely point them in the right direction.
It's
Again,
all about quantity, not
it
quality
is,
at
mate,
Barnsley Football Club, isn't it?
you
Yeah,
forget it. You know what
yeah,
we should do now. Just forget it. We're just happy to watch a football club. It's right.
yeah,
Don't matter. I'll pay £8 for a pint for the 6. You take
yeah,
my money. It's
yeah,
right. Don't matter.
yeah. It's got to end, and you know, it's like we've got to laugh at it because I think if you
Yeah,
didn't laugh, you'd cry. And
yeah. I'm past
again,
point of being angry, mate. Now
yeah,
it is what it is. If we lose, that's fine. Don't matter.
it don't matter to
Julianne,
them.
Julianne don't care. She's taking hot kits to America again.
Yeah, don't matter. Don't
I can
matter.
tell her where Blackford's is in town centre. They could have got her done there. Near mine going to New York for them. Lowerdale Autos sponsoring them. Just number 1, number 2, number 3. You know, save money in there. If they want to cut costs, get rid of all admin staff. Do it that way. Save money that way. Don't get rid of all admin staff that's worked there for 20 years. Don't get rid of club cameraman that's worked over there for 20 years. We aren't even mentioning his name.
Mm.
Like, no, it's fine. Don't go to New York and get a pink strip and these stars all over the show. We're not American. We're from Yorkshire. I
Mm.
would have loved, instead of all them stars, by the way, Yorkshire Roses to be on it. That'd have been a lot more.
Mm.
That'd have been nice. But instead, we got a load of banners and stripes on it. That's where I'm making a joke out, and I've been
No, no, you mate. No, no, you mean, mate. No.
you know, and I hope they change, but they're not. You know, a leopard don't change its spots, does it? They've
No.
been here long enough now to say, I thought they were going to make a change, and then they started to do it, and it just seems like after a bit, well, it's just a money earner. It's just something on side, like I said to you before, mate. It's a
Profit FC.
Well, profit FC, but then they're going to have no profit because the players that they're going to try and get profit out, they're not going to be worth out anyway. Because if we keep decreasing and this is what I don't get. You look at, like, obviously on a bigger level, Brighton, they'll bring in a player, they'll produce him, but then they've got 11 of them.
Mm.
So then when they keep, then for instance with Caicedo, they brought him in for like less than 5 million, and then they made like 85 million off him.
Mm.
But then that's with proper recruitment. But even with Brentford, like I said to you over the years, that's because they've got a model. They know how to
model,
they know what they're doing. We just seem to be like, right, well, we'll have a look then. We'll go on transfer market on Google and see who's free. It just doesn't seem like we've got the nous to know. And you know, I wish we got a poor player that comes in. It's just the inconsistency, and then, like I said, until that changes, we seem to have a complete. This is where we're going, because this is what I understood under Crine. You know, we bought players from lower league with like an Oran,
Yeah.
and a Winnell, and this, that, and other, Alfie Mawson, and then we made a profit out of them. And now I don't even see what we're doing at the moment. We've gone back to letting contracts run out, and then just letting players go like that we brought in year before, and you know, letting players that we, you know, for instance with Shepherd, loaning him out, like Lapata, like we bought him in and we loaned him out. It's like, well, why did you bring him in then if you knew he weren't good enough?
Yeah.
And this is just, for every good signing, we get, you know, 2 or 3 ones that's been a bit of a waste.
But they're eating up wages that could be
Yeah,
put towards
exactly, mate. Like I said to you, we haven't got the resources to be just bringing random players in and hoping that they work. Every signing that we make has got to be important and right for what we are, and also for where we want to be. But it's up to the club now. They've got to, you know, it's a big couple, and I always said it's a big couple of weeks to really show what they're about. I think a lot of us know what they're about, but they can make these necessary improvements to back the manager till the end of the season. And then obviously if the manager doesn't do what's required, then yeah, make a change. I get that. But they've got to back him. You know, look at what he's been given to work with. Look at that team that's playing at the moment, and you sit back over those Barnsley sides over the years and tell me that that's a good enough side to play for us. It's not acceptable.
No.
But like I said to you, then it then goes back to recruitment. But then also players have got to look at themselves in the mirror and be like, we've got to do better. You know, it's this league isn't tough. It's not a great standard of football. It's who's organised better than someone else, and who does the basic stuff better than the other. The basics. Never mind trying to play this formation that we're just not good for the players. They don't understand it. You can see. But things have got to change, mate. We've got to get 5 or 6 lads in. We've got to keep us better players. and we've got to give him till end of the season, in my opinion. But again, if we keep losing games of football, I understand that that's the business that we also. I also expect us to be top 6. That's the minimum requirement for us. In my world, it should be top 3 because that's where I want us to be. But I understand that expectations are lower than before, so I'll take top 6. But if we're not there and we ain't got a chance of being there and we're mid-table, it's not good enough.
I mean, to try and Sean tie it all up, then I mean, it's like you said, Via. Well, next couple of weeks definitely big fixtures coming up. It's going to be a big call going into like New Year. Home form, like you say, relegation form, his own form. So for me, looking for the rest of the season, I'm looking at it, transfer window rise, what's going to happen, and if I'm being honest, I can see is either getting some players in at last minute, even not match fit, and we're going to be struggling to get back into first team affairs. Got Roberts, you got Earl basically like probably January time anyway. So is it going to force and infect any players through earlier? I'd like to think so, but then again, are we just going to be bringing them in for sake in it, short term loans? Players go in, I could see such as like Luke O'Connell and Adam Phillips. I think if Adam Phillips wants to go, they probably could go. And they'd say, "Oh, they did all this with Kitchen and fair play, and you have held out to £4.5 million, whatever it is, in instalments, cash, and everything like that." But again, it's your standards. Are you willing to accept Barnsley Football Club? Are they willing to accept that they're just going to be a? We'll just leave it here. We'll leave it here. We'll make sure that we're not in relegation. But at the end of the day, your standards again, you should be looking at it and thinking, right, what do we need to move on to get into top 6? Or we'll see what we can do and hope we get into top 6. And I'm feeling the latter me. I think they're just going to open wing it, that they can get in
Do
to
bare
at least
minimum.
come out, bare minimum, and hope they get in. And if they don't, it's like, well, we'll have a look at it for next year. But it's
They'll let Gray go back.
year.
They'll let Slanina go back.
Yeah.
Bring in another keeper. I think they'll try and cover cracks. They'll probably bring in a midfielder if Connell and Phillips go, but I also think that regardless, we need a midfielder anyway because we're not got enough pace in that midfield. We're too slow.
Mm.
And we need a striker in, maybe 2. And for me, Marsh needs to either be sold or whatever. And Jarlo needs a loan to get some confidence because for me, he's got potential, but he's very raw and he's very green, and it's a lot of pressure on him to come on and make a difference every week. But you need somebody to be helping Humphreys out every week. So, like you said, I think they'll try and do bare minimum and hope like last season we get off that line. But the basics, what we've got to be doing is we need to address this home form and start from scratch and be like, right, it's a fresh, for players and for manager, it's a fresh play. Let's just start again. But the club need to incentivise the fans to be going at games, to be creating a better atmosphere, to get behind the lads, because at the minute it's like being out moon with atmosphere, and it's been like that a long time. And
Getting worse, mate.
It's getting worse, obviously, and there's obviously numerous indicators of that. Prices, players not being good enough, results, but also there's no incentive. I think the club should be doing more because obviously we could be 12th man at times, and we have been over years, and we need to be there again. Obviously, we need to get behind him, but also at the same time, the fans need something to get behind to start off with. We need to be doing basics better, on the pitch, but also I think need to hold their hands up and change things around a bit because it's clearly not working. We're too inconsistent. I think regardless, or even if Robertson will come back in, we need another centre defender. Do we bring Lapata and Shepherd back in? Probably to save some money. They'll probably do that. I think out the two, I think Shepherd's better.
Yeah.
He's less rash. And I think his time at Bradford under an experienced coach will have done him good.
Some decent reviews coming from some Bradford fans, to be fair, Shepherd, yeah.
And I thought he were a decent player. I just thought he were very young, and we threw him in at deep
Big
end.
jump up, wasn't it? Yeah.
Should have integrated into the team a lot better. But this is what we do. We see a young lad, quick money, rather than let's build a player here. Let's build him up and slowly but surely integrate him into the side. Give him 20 minutes here. Play him in cup games. Then maybe against a team that we're expected to win if we're in good form, then start him at home. not just throw him in at deep end every week. And then if he does make a mistake, oh, well, the shepherd's shit, get him out at side. No confidence. You know, they're setting him up to fail if you're doing that. This is, again, club management, basic stuff. If I know it, you know it, then surely they know it. They're experienced enough. They get paid more money than me. But also, you know, from player side, they've got to want to play for the club. And if you don't, regardless of how good you are, see you later. I'm not having it from last season where we had two players in Cole and Kane that clearly couldn't be asked. For instance, Herbie Kane were laughing when we were being beat by Bolton in that semi-final in playoffs. They were laughing, walking off pitch, 3-1 down. He were laughing. Not acceptable.
Yeah, you don't need it.
Who are you playing for? Yourself, clearly, but until you leave our football club, you should be given 100%. Conduct yourself better as a footballer. But it's multi-layered, mate. Where changes need to be made. They've got to start looking after the football club better. Will they do that? Probably. I hope so. But we'll see where we are in a few months' time, mate. But things have got to be better. They've got this time now before the Bolton game. That'll be a tough result. But sod law knowing us, we'll go there and get something. But I'll take a point. We just got to stay in touch, mate. We've got to, in terms of table, if we're a point or two off in March, we'll have done a decent job, in my opinion. But like I've said, this league isn't fantastic. There's not that many good teams. There's Huddersfield, in my opinion, Birmingham, Wrexham, Stockport, and Wickham are obviously in a really good run of form and really organised and seem to know what they're doing. So there's 5 teams, I think, that are half decent. Rest of them bang average. So we're more than capable enough on his day. We're a fully fit team with 3 or 4, reinforcements alongside his best 7 or 8 players to go into that team and add. But if they don't do what's required, that's very basic to see, and add in areas that's very clear to see that we're lacking in, as well as on the bench, we don't just need a start. We need some strength in depth off bench. We need competition for places. We need lads to be looking over the shoulder, thinking, well, if I'm not playing well, he's on immediately, and he's just as good as me. So that's what they need: 5 or 6 lads that want to come in and make an impact, that want to play for the club. And then we need a striker, obviously. That's obviously an hard commodity to get, near mind, in January. But we need somebody to come in that's got, that's going to add something different to us. That's going to be a good focal point for us going forward. And we need a new keeper. That's the starting tool. But also, everything needs to change at the club, and quick. But there we are, mate. I'm sorry it's been doom and gloom, but I've got to say it as it is. And I wish if there were positive things to say, I would be positive. But it needs to be better. It's as simple as that. It's not good enough, and we can't be sugarcoating stuff when there's no reason for it to be. So it needs to be better. Simple as that. And if it's not, and if they're not bothered no more, I'd rather him try and find somebody that is. Do you know what I mean? And I'd rather know, for instance, that we've got somebody that cares. I'd rather have no money, mate, and know that somebody's running a club that cares than have people that we've got. That over years we've had money to spend and we just don't do it because it doesn't serve them. I'd rather know, regardless where they're from. I just want somebody that actually cares than the mech out that they do, but actually they don't give a flying F.
No. We need best interest at the club and actually show it and mean it, not just talk it, but actions louder than words, isn't it?
I've never made it personal. I've never made it personal against anybody. I always joke and mess about, but I never make it personal, insults or anything like that. But from a business perspective, it's got to be better. And you've got to look after our football club, because if you don't want to, like I've said, give it over to somebody that will do it when it's right and make the changes that's necessary, that you can clearly see and everybody can see, regardless on the pitch, off the pitch as well. The football club has got to change in a lot of ways. You've got to bridge that gap, because if not, you're going to lose fans for a long time. And then once that bridge is broken, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, appreciate it, Luke. Appreciate everybody for watching as well. But it's one of them where it's got to be called out. It's not been a 6-month thing. It's not been overnight. It's been build up, going back to 2017, like Luke said, via a solid but surely you can see it, as I said, week by week, month by month, even season by season. It's getting to stage like now where it is culminated in another heavy home defeat against Leighton Orient. It's unacceptable. Fans leaving in the droves. I'm not on about 100. I'm on about droves. 51 minutes. They were like literally emptying the ground out.
They were 69 minutes, I think.
Yeah. If that's
under
not a wake-up call for
yeah,
board
yeah,
members up there,
right
and on
there.
TV cameras, that's embarrassing.
I think we
That's
were at
embarrassing.
maybe under 500-600 people here with 20 minutes to go. Like in Ponty End anyway,
Yeah,
virtually empty.
yeah. It's like embarrassing. Needs to be a big wake-up call. Standards certainly need to change off at field as well as on it as well. Players need to have a long hard look at the sends when they cross that white line.
Yeah.
They're getting paid handsomely to do a job, and their job is to go out there and, win a game, but obviously every game as well, and actually competing and not be joking, laughing, and when you're 3-0 down, as if it's like it don't mean no to you. Obviously, you don't. You keep picking your wage up, but a lot of fans what's paid hard-earned money going to watch your home and away. You just can't turn up, and as well as you're going to take the plaudits when you do win or you score a worldie or a goal, you've got to take it on chin as well. But when you're playing poor, you're going to get called out for it, and it's only right you do so. And it's like you said, I've never made it personal. It's always been respectable, and I always treat with people with respect. But when you made a poor game, if I had a poor shift at my work, I'd be told by my gaffer, "You need to do this X, Y, Z." I'm not going to say, "Well done, Neil." This over, even though I've had a pisser of a day, you're going to expect to get pulled up. That's all you got to get done. And like I say, Darryl Clark's gaffer, there's that many messages coming through to him. Again, I look at coaches there; they should be channeling it, like Luke said earlier. They should be channeling it through and going it through to the head gaffer, who it is Darryl Clark. And if they're coming up and down all the time, it kind of undermines his role in it.
But they're not all. It's what clubs gave him. So then there's that question then that obviously it's not what he's chose; it's what he's been given with. And I get obviously it's nice to bring Devaney through and Connor. Obviously did great things for us as a club, and Devaney's obviously been here through a lot of tough times. But surely, if you're going to bring a coach in, give him his coaching staff to work with. To implement his. If he's got a vision, then obviously you need 3 or 4 lads that's got like with Bielsa. Just one and he goes with 3 or 4 lads behind him. Any top coach, because we're a coaching team. So questions there, but I just aspect of clubs got to change and quick. But there's got to be some acknowledgement of things, and there's got to be basic things being put in place to improve things as they are, because it's not good enough, is it? Like you say.
No. Yeah, we're hoping it was going to be a bit more positive, but we've called it for what it is. But we can't call it. Yeah.
If we're 9th in Championship, or if we're in top 2 or top 3 in League One, and we're beaten Leyton Orient 4-0, I'd be like, we'd be like, fantastic. Let's get some.
Good
Let's
times,
go for
think.
But we're, the only worst thing is we could be lower down league table, which is, I'm surprised we're not, because we've been absolutely bang average all season.
Away form what's kept us where we are, isn't it? Really,
I can't believe that we're 1 point off playoffs. It's because the standard of the league's so poor.
That shows you it, doesn't it? Yeah.
Maybe from New Year, Bolton, especially at home, start a fresh slate, go again, start at window. What's done's done, but you've got to make improvements. You can't keep doing this. As soon as a goal goes in, laying over and
having your belly tickled.
Even if you're losing, you're not in form. Get 100%. Don't just be walking about like you don't care. We know that you're losing game, but just give everything for the shirt. Something to work on for the last 20, 30 minutes. Even when we were 3-0 down, note for us to, to go it, to be like, well, there's something there. Like I said, there's only 2 or 3 players I can say that's playing all right at the minute. We can't be carrying 7 or 8 players every game. You know what I mean? We need 11 players going in the right direction. Near mind 2 or 3. So, like you said, mate, I hope obviously everyone has a lovely Christmas, and I hope that don't let it, big message for everyone. Don't let them get you down. It's not end of the world. They'll be gone at some point. This all will be, hopefully in future we can look back at this and be like, this were a dark few years. But just keep getting behind it, lads. Obviously, but if we lose, don't let it ruin your weekend. There's more to life than watching us, and I know I'm saying that because I used to win my weekend. But don't let it ruin your week, lads and girls. Just keep £6 a pint for a Madry. Keep nodding and say yes. Keep handing your money over, but no, just like don't let it ruin your weekend. It's not worth it. But also,
spend time with families.
Yeah. It's bigger things than football at the minute, mate. Going on it world, isn't there? So. Just get behind it best you can, and if we lose, it's obviously rubbish and it ruins my week for about an hour, but then there's more to life than that. and just get behind them. Just be happy that we've got a football club, Neil. We should be happy we've got a football
No
club.
matter who we are. Yeah, no
Here
matter
we
who we
are.
are.
Oh, National League North, Barnsley FC at home against Rushall Olympic. It's fine. It don't
We've
matter.
still got a club. Yeah, still
Don't
got a
matter.
club.
We're FA Vars in 6 years. Don't
Yeah.
matter. Don't matter.
Still got a club. We might win that.
No, but,
Trophy we haven't won. Yeah.
But in all seriousness, everyone, just don't let it get to you. Don't
No.
have these meltdowns on Twitter. They're not worth energy. Not worth energy.
Yeah, echo that. I know I used to be one of them where it used to proper frustrate me, and now it's just like
It is what it is, mate.
just go with it flow. It is what it is. Accept it for what it is. Until all change at the top, it's always going to be the same. So you just take it on the chin. And are you surprised anymore? It's like I'm more surprised that I'm waiting about a week, if that, for someone else to develop it all and come out.
Yeah.
And you know that's all the thing where I do sit back and have a bit of a laugh about it, because you think, can it get any worse from this? And then something happens, you think, yeah, it can actually. But yeah, here you go.
Well,
Yeah,
let's wait and see. I think there should be. I think A Up and Down should do a poll of what scandal's going to come out next on social media if he's watching.
that'd be interesting. That'd be interesting.
Like a porn scandal, one
Yeah,
people behind the scenes has been involved in some form of
like in News at World, something like that. Yeah,
it could be.
Just wait for the next chapter, isn't it? Literally,
should be a poll out there for next chapter in the life of being a Barnsley supporter. But it's never dull, never for a moment. I just want us to be a boring Championship team like a Preston.
Yeah,
and finish 14th every year. I'd love that. Stay up every year, be all right. We get some players coming, win a few home games, win a few away games.
Competing in Championship. Oh, happy
mate.
days.
Those were the days, weren't they?
Championship. Days.
Yeah.
Championship. Yeah, everybody, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, leave your comments in. Be interested to know your thoughts about what we discussed. But Luke, as always, mate, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Covered some ground here. Quite a range of topics and debates on that. Have a Merry Christmas, everybody. One thing left to say, you Reds.